What if the smartest twin-engine airplane you could buy isn't new, flashy, or 7 figures, but still flies farther and more efficiently than many modern aircraft? What if aviation's most misunderstood budget twin isn't cheap because it's bad, but because people stopped paying attention? That's where the Piper Twin Comanche lives. Built in the 1960s, it has quietly outlasted trends, price spikes, and hype. Jets got faster, turboprops got expensive, and avionics got shinier. Yet the Twin Comanche remains relevant, efficient, and brutally honest about what it does well. The internet calls it the $750,000 Twin Comanche, but the real story is far more interesting than the headline. Not a $750,000 airplane until you turn it into one. Let's clear the air immediately. The Piper Twin Comanche is not a $750,000 airplane in normal market terms. In current listings, most PA-30s trade in the low to mid six figures, typically around $120,000 to $180,000 depending on condition, hours, maintenance, and avionics. The $750,000 Twin Comanche label comes from total investment, not purchase price. Owners who commit to the platform often keep the airframe and modernize everything around it, overhauling engines, rebuilding panels with modern glass and autopilots, updating interiors, repainting, and adding options like long-range tanks or DEACE equipment. Individually, these upgrades seem reasonable. Over time, they stack up quickly. No one casually buys a $750,000 Twin Comanche. They build one deliberately because a fully sorted example can deliver the kind of efficiency and capability that would cost far more to replace with a newer aircraft. So where does the $750,000 number come from? That figure reflects total investment, not purchase price. Owners who love the Twin Comanche platform sometimes keep the airframe and upgrade everything else around it. Engines get overhauled or replaced. Panels are gutted and rebuilt with modern glass avionics, digital autopilots, ADS-B, and modern electrical systems. Interiors are redone, paint is refreshed, DEACE systems, speed mods, and long-range tanks get added. Over time, those costs stack up brutally fast. In other words, no one casually buys a $750,000 Twin Comanche. They build one slowly, deliberately, and expensively because they believe the underlying airframe is worth saving, and that belief doesn't come from nostalgia, it comes from performance. Designed for efficiency, not ego. The Twin Comanche was never meant to be a ramp queen. Piper didn't design it to look intimidating or luxurious. They designed it to be clean, light, and efficient, and that philosophy shows everywhere. With its slim fuselage, laminar flow wing, and small frontal area, the Twin Comanche slices through the air instead of bullying it. Typical cruise speeds around 165 to 170 knots are achievable in properly maintained examples, and that speed comes with a fuel burn that still surprises pilots today. Around 17 gallons per hour total at cruise power puts it closer to a high-performance single than to the fuel-hungry twins people expect. This is why the Twin Comanche earned its reputation as a thinking pilot's twin. It doesn't impress by brute force, it impresses by math. 2 engines, 1 philosophy. The Twin Comanche occupies a strange and rare middle ground. It gives you the redundancy of 2 engines without immediately punishing you for it. That doesn't mean it's cheap to operate. No twin truly is. But compared to larger piston twins, the numbers are unusually reasonable. Fuel capacity varies by configuration, with standard tanks holding about 90 gallons and long-range configurations extending that significantly. That means real cross-country legs without the feeling that every hour airborne is burning money at an alarming rate. For pilots who want to travel, not just fly patterns, that matters. But the Twin Comanche isn't trying to hide the realities of twin ownership either. Maintenance is real. Systems are real. This airplane rewards discipline and punishes neglect. And that brings us to its reputation, the reputation problem, and the truth behind it. Mention the Twin Comanche in a room full of pilots and someone will eventually bring up engine out stories. This airplane has history, and not all of it is flattering. Early training accidents and misunderstandings about single-engine performance contributed to a reputation that stuck longer than it deserved. The truth is simpler and less dramatic. The Twin Comanche does not tolerate sloppy flying. It demands airspeed discipline, configuration awareness, and proper training. Like any light twin, its safety advantage only exists if the pilot uses it correctly. Owning 2 engines does not make physics optional. When flown within its envelope and by a proficient pilot, the Twin Comanche is no more dangerous than comparable light twins Twins. When mishandled, it reminds you very quickly that it is still an airplane governed by aerodynamics, not optimism. That reputation, ironically, helped keep prices down and made it a bargain for pilots willing to take training seriously. Old bones, modern potential. Step into an original Twin Comanche cockpit and you'll see its age immediately. Early panels were functional but cramped, with layouts that made sense in the 1960s but feel dated today. However, this is where the airplane's second life begins. The Twin Comanche has become a favorite platform for modernization. Many owners strip the panel completely and rebuild it with modern avionics that rival new aircraft. Glass displays, integrated engine monitoring, digital autopilots, and modern navigation systems transform the flying experience without changing the airframe's fundamental efficiency. This is one reason owners justify massive investments. They're not trying to make the Twin Comanche something it isn't. They're trying to reveal what it always was: an efficient traveling machine trapped inside old technology. Comfort without pretending to be a cabin-class twin. Let's be honest, because honesty is the Twin Comanche's entire personality. This airplane is not trying to be a Baron, a Seneca, or a flying executive lounge. It doesn't offer club seating, wide aisles, or the feeling that you're walking into a leather-wrapped boardroom at 8,000 feet. And that's exactly the point. The Twin Comanche was designed around efficiency first, not spectacle, and its cabin reflects that philosophy perfectly. Inside, the space is narrower than modern cabin-class twins, but it never feels careless or cheap. Everything has a purpose. The seating position is natural, visibility is good, and the cockpit feels more like a serious traveling machine than a weekend toy. For 2 adults up front and 1 or 2 passengers in the back, the airplane is genuinely comfortable on real cross-country legs. This isn't the kind of aircraft where you start counting minutes after the first hour. Properly maintained examples feel solid, composed, and reassuring rather than flimsy or tired. Noise levels are reasonable for a piston twin of its era, especially when insulation and interior refurbishments have been done thoughtfully. You're aware that you're flying behind 2 engines, but it's not fatiguing in the way some older twins can be. The ride quality is stable, the controls feel connected, and the airplane doesn't transmit every bump straight into your spine. It's not luxurious aviation, and it never pretends to be. It's functional aviation done correctly. That distinction matters. The Twin Comanche doesn't sell comfort through excess. It delivers comfort through competence. And for owners who care more about arriving efficiently, reliably, and without unnecessary drama than impressing strangers on the ramp, that trade-off doesn't feel like a compromise at all. It feels like clarity, weather capability. This is where realism matters. The Twin Comanche is not certified for flight into known icing, period. Any discussion that implies otherwise is misleading. While some aircraft may be equipped with DEAC-related systems or modifications, certification categories and real-world risk are not the same thing. That doesn't make the airplane fragile or unusable. It means it must be flown with judgment. Smart owners treat weather as a planning problem, not a challenge to be conquered. In that context, the Twin Comanche performs exactly as expected, capable, but not magical. Why owners keep it instead of upgrading? Here's the most telling part of the Twin Comanche story. Many owners who could afford to move on don't. They don't leave because the airplane continues to do what they actually need. It covers ground efficiently. It fits into hangars without drama. It doesn't demand jet-level budgets. And once upgraded, it feels modern enough that replacing it would cost exponentially more for marginal gains. That's how you end up with owners who've poured hundreds of thousands into airframes worth far less on paper. They're not irrational, they're committed. If you've made it this far, you already understand why the Piper Twin Comanche refuses to disappear. It's not chasing trends, luxury, or headlines. It's chasing efficiency, discipline, and real-world usability, and doing it better than many airplanes that cost several times more. If you enjoy deep dives like this that cut through the hype and tell the real story behind aviation legends, like and subscribe.